Hi, welcome back to our channel. Today we'll talk about top 10 coding interview mistakes people do. These mistakes I've gathered from the interview that I have given my feedback and otherwise the interviews that I have taken. So hopefully आप ये mistakes की list जान के अपनी interview में ऐसी mistakes नहीं करेंगे. And if you don't know how to prepare for coding interview from scratch, we have also shared video on that. Please check description box or our channel list for that. एंड अगर आपने ऐसी मिस्टेक्स की हैं और आपका उसको क्या इम्पैक्ट रहा था तो प्लीज़ वो स्टोरी आप कमेंट में ज़रूर बताइए. So first mistake that people do is over communication, that when your any solution does not come to your mind or you do not know what to say, people just start saying anything. You should tell what is the solution of the problem or what is your thought process, but you can also do like you can take time to think. Okay, you can just take, okay, I'm taking 1 minute and let me think about it. Do not say anything to fill the space. Do not say anything because you have to say something. So don't ramble, because the person who is taking interview knows everything about the problem and they will get to know that you are rambling or you are saying something that is making sense. So over communication does not help at all. So the next point is, are you thinking about the data structures, possible data structures properly? So what happens generally in the interview, they will give you a coding problem and they won't tell you that which data structure will be used to solve it. So what happens, say a problem that can be optimizely solved by a graph, you can also use doubly linked list or singly linked list for that. Say like I was having a discussion with the candidate aspirer. So what happens, he started the problem solution with the single linked list and then he moved to the doubly linked list and the optimized solution was the graph. So I will say that the singly linked list to doubly linked list drift he could have done in the mind itself, because rather than just starting with a data structure that come to your mind, you should list down all the possible data structures. Then you should see that does the single linked list solve all the test cases or not. If not, then you should think about the other linked list, because during the problem when you have already started coding, you move from single linked list to doubly linked list. For example, it does not make a good impact. Or it is possible that you are mentally biased to one data structure, because you have started already with one data structure. You will keep on thinking around that, you won't thinking all the directions. So correct way will be always to think about all the possible data structures properly in the beginning only, rather than backtracking or something. So the next mistake that people generally do is coding without planning. So what happens, rather than thinking of how the structure of the code will look like and what all functions you will use, you will directly jump into the coding part of the interview. So this jumping too quick is too bad, because what happens, there is no backtrack, erasing will take time. So generally, like for example, if you are doing palindromic linked list, so you should discuss, or you should rather make structure at least, that these methods you will be using, this will be the part of the main, because doing thing backwards in some scenarios is not a good practice. So you should always think before you start, and you should plan your code, the structure of the code first. Now the next mistake the people generally do is they do not ask clarifying questions. So what happens generally, that we do not confirm with the interviewer what the problem is. We do not confirm that, okay, if this is the test case and if I provide this input, then this output should I get. So what happens generally, even I have faced while I was taking interview. So a person was writing the problem and very nice code, and what happens at the end, when he was trying to explain me the test cases, I said, okay, this is not the output that I am expecting. So what happens generally, we tend to solve the problem that is actually not the problem that was asked. So it can be completely different logic, or it happens that, okay, with little changes you could have solved the problem, but maybe at some places you have to backtrack completely. So you should always ask the confirming question, like if I have to find the sum of two numbers in present in the array or not. So you should ask that, can number be summed to itself, or are the numbers negative or not, or the numbers are unique. So these questions you can ask. Or like if you have to return the connected components in the graph, then you could have asked that, does the graph have cycle or not. So you should always ask the clarifying question before you start solving the problem. So next mistake that people do is they do not prepare well before the interview. Here I'm not talking about you have prepared coding questions or not. Everyone does that, but the main problem that I have seen is they do not remember the syntax properly. So sometimes it happens in the interview that you know the problem, you know the solution, but you're not able to write it. And sometimes it happens that interviewer also take the pick of the code what the interviewer has written. So code should be presentable, code should make sense, code should be real. So it is not that only the logic of the code is important, the syntax basic revision is very very important as well. So you should not miss this before appearing for any coding interview. So the next mistake that people generally do is they do not think loud while solving the problem. So here there is a difference. You should not ramble, you should not speak anything, but you should at least speak. So you should take some time and then speak, like what is your direction of thinking. You should not just stare at them and when they ask. So generally what happens, interviewer thinks that the person is not getting the problem. Okay, if you have thought of a solution and you're still not spoken, the interviewer will give you a hint, and then he will consider it that when I have given hint, then this person spoke and now this is why he knows the problem. So this should not be the case. You should always speak up what you are thinking. And even if you have not reached solution, so it happens in some interview that you do not reach an optimized solution, but still they will be analyzing your problem solving skill even if you do not give the complete solution. So they will at least get the insight of your aptitude. So this will help interviewer and you in the right direction of the interview. So you should always think loud while solving the problem. Next mistake that people generally do is they do not keep an eye on time. So generally 45 minutes to 1 hour is given for a coding round. And what happens that you spend either a lot of time while discussing the problem or like whatever points are given, right? So you will spend a lot of time of while discussing for restructuring the code or typing the code or maybe solving the test cases. So you do not divide your time properly. So maybe you have spent half an hour only discussing and discussing logic. So you have not kept an eye on the time, and this happens like that okay, interviewer think that you're not able to solve the problem completely, and okay fine. So this is not a good end for the interview. So you should always keep an eye on the time as well while solving the problem or discussing or where you should stop. So this is also very very important. Now the next point that is important is you do not test all the test cases or the edge cases before saying that okay, my code is complete. So what happens that interviewer expects production ready code. Similar way you will be writing in the company. So whenever you have written the complete code, you should first dry run the code and you should test all the possible edge cases. You should fix any corner cases if there are. So you should not be in hurry to iterate the code or to say that you are done before interviewer points you out to any test cases that is miss here. You lose some points there, right? So you should not do this, and you should test your code first properly before saying you are done. So dry running the code with all the test cases is very very important point as well. So do not forget this for any coding interview. Now the next point consider is at a bonus point I'll give you, that do not directly jump to the optimal solution of the known problem. So what happens, sometimes we face some problems that we already know and we get too excited, we want to solve it too quickly. So you should not do it like that. You should at least give n square solution of the problem. You should think around that, and you should at least give the basic solution first, and if the interviewer wants the next optimized solution, then only you should proceed ahead. You should not be like given the problem, you directly jump to the solution and it's done. It does not function like that. So you should take care of this point as well. Now the next most important point is you freak out when you are stuck. And this happens with all of us. We are humans. So what happens when we are not reaching solution of a problem, or we're almost there but we are not able to conclude the solution? So we freak out, we lose our patience, and this happens. So keep in mind that interviewer also know that this is possible situation in an interview, and they will also support you, they will also help you. So you should always take deep breath. You should also be calm while you take the interview. So if you are stuck and if you lose your patience, it will be a negative impact. So you should always be calm, and you should be always have patience while solving the coding questions. So this will always help you in solving questions and your interview and a positive impact. So if you like the point shared by me, please like the video, subscribe and comment, and also comment if you think any other point is also important while giving coding interview. Please stay connected and also check our other video list, and let me know if you want any other topics for me to discuss. We'll be putting a lot of interview preparation tips and a lot of coding problems, design problems as well. So please share this channel out with your friends and aspirers.